Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where I'll be discussing Tottenham's 2-0 victory at the City Ground as we have just beaten Nottingham Forest. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, do hit that follow button. Now, please also do check out the channel sponsors: OneFootball, Live Football on TV, NordVPN, Zooch Converters, and Get Here. I'm very kindly, my friend Rob has very kindly given his house up for me to record this podcast from. I'm joined by three very special guests. Now, before I introduce them, as I said, Spurs have just beaten Nottingham Forest 2-0 at the City Ground. Harry Kane, his first goal was his 200th league goal for Spurs. He scored also in the 81st minute, assisted by Richarlison. Harry Kane, of course, missed a penalty in the 56th minute. Spurs now unbeaten in 10 league games, keeping 6 clean sheets. 18 shots today, 7 on target. Now, Steve Cook somehow escaped a red card. I don't know how that happened. Spurs are now third in the Premier League. We have played 4, we have won 3, and we have drawn 1. We have 10 points. Let's introduce the guests. Also in Nottingham, Richard Whitehead, MBE. Rich, how are you?
Yes, mate. I'm always better when we've got Darren and the lively Gary on, on the podcast. I'm looking forward to tonight. And obviously, 3 points. A hard watch, but 3 valuable points.
Yes. Also joining us, fresh from America, from Disneyland, Darren Altman. Darren, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I don't know which way's up. According to me, it's like 3 in the afternoon. We've all just woken up. But I mean, do you know what? Jet lag is nothing. It's a Spurs win away just gets it all going, Christopher.
I actually thought that you were going to answer me in the voice of Mickey Mouse. I'm disappointed.
Well, the funny thing is that I did a video for TikTok, and my daughter said, "Can you do Mickey Mouse?" And I went, "Whoa, boy, welcome to Disneyland." And then she said, "Can you do Goofy?" So I said, "I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yuck, yuck, yuck." And then she said, "Can you do Donald?" And I said, "So great, so wonderful, great place, Disneyland." So.
And we've also got entertainer Gary Maloney with us. Gary, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I've had my Sunday roast. I'm chilling out in me, not quite Florida, but I'm in my holiday home in Bognor. And you know what? Sunday roast, afternoon game, got the job done. Happy days. I'm very pleased. But Darren, I still think you do a better Gary Pickett mix-in-impression, mate. You got to do one
really?
before.
Well, you know, I need to turn the old volume up, and then it will be.
Oh dear, I do love that.
Now, Rich, let's start with you. Of course, you live in Nottingham. You know the amount of signings that Nottingham Forest have made this summer and this transfer window so far. Of course, Spurs got the job done today. As we all alluded to before we went live, it wasn't the greatest of performances from Tottenham Hotspur today, but we got the job done yet again, and another clean sheet. What did you make of today's performance?
Yeah, well, I actually I know Joe Worrell quite well, so I sent him a message just to say I'm free for the next couple of months if Forest need a new player. So they've literally signed everyone, haven't they? Everyone, like everybody, players from all over the place. But I think what's happening is that it's been that kind of people are buying players left, right, and centre, and the teams that are coming up now, obviously they've got quality in the side. You saw the quality that they've actually got in the team. I think Forest will be all right. I think teams that go to the City Ground are going to be surprised. Obviously, you were there, Chris, and you had the experience of being in the City Ground. It's lively, lots of raucous. The fans really embrace quality football. From our side, I think it was just getting the job done today. It just felt a little bit kind of robotic in the first half. So obviously playing Arsenal home and away, top games for me, sorry. But also Forest, as someone that lives in Nottingham, these games we need to win because I can't go out. Everybody knows I'm a Spurs fan, so literally take this out of me, left, right, and centre if we lose. So it was something that we needed to do today. So 2-0, it could have been 5 or 6, like Gary was saying off air earlier. But just to get the job done was a big relief.
I tell you what, Rich, when I went into the City Ground, it was extremely loud. The music that they play, I couldn't even hear the person talking to me, who was next to me. Very, very loud. But even walking to the City Ground, all of the bars, the restaurants, etc., they're playing loud music. It is a very, very lively place, even before you go into the ground. But interestingly,
anybody that's looking for a new girlfriend or like Tinder's not working for you, Nottingham's quite lively at the moment, apparently, Chris says.
Yeah, he's very lively. Darren, let's come to you. What did you make of the game?
I thought it was a good game. It was very open. A lot of chances. We could have scored a few more, definitely for sure. There were a lot of chances missed. They could have scored. They're a good team. They're not a poor team. They're my favourite. Cheers, Keith. You're my favourite guest, so it's mutually. They're not a bad team. They play good attacking football. They try and catch on the break as well. But unfortunately, fortunately for us, they just don't have anything up front. I think they had one shot on target up until the sort of 70th minute. Loads of shots, like sort of 15, 16 shots. I remember the stat, but one on target. So, but they gave us a good old run for our money, and I'm sure we'll discuss it. There were a few scary moments where. Kane's missed penalty, but it was a good game. It was open. We won ugly, and we kept a clean sheet. 10 games without a goal conceded, I think is the stat, Chris. So great, happy days.
Gary, your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, listen, look, games like that are never going to be easy. I mean, you probably saw firsthand with the commentators, everyone is anti-Tottenham per usual, especially when it's the club that's come up. Everyone wants that club to win. Carragher, Martin Tyler, they were begging Nottingham Forest to win that game today. And it reminded me a little bit like when we went to Newcastle when they got taken over. Everyone wanted, the other team to win and not Tottenham. But at the end of the day, yes, he missed the penalty, but he still had a good game. He could have got a hat-trick another day, probably would have, but we got the job done. And I must admit, I know people will complain and moan about Son, and we'll get onto that later. But for me, I think Sanchez had a really good game. And I don't think when he has a good game, he gets enough credit. But I must admit, I think you touched on it a minute ago, Richard. Højbjerg didn't have one of his greatest games. But Sanchez in particular got some really good blocks in, and I thought he played really well. But look, it's a 2-0 win away from home. We kept a clean sheet. And then I suppose in a way the penalties are relevant. And the thing is with penalties, Chris, they had a little conversation and laugh about it afterwards, the keeper and Kane. But some of it with penalties is just luck. He'd done his last 21 in a row. He's bound to miss at some point. Let it be in a game where we're already in the lead and we win, rather a game where we're 2-1 down or whatever. So for me, I wasn't ecstatic. It wasn't our best performance, but we kept the clean sheet and it's a win away from home. Happy days.
Interestingly, how you mentioned Sanchez there, Gary, because every single time that Sanchez seems to play now, we keeping clean sheets.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I must admit, mate, he did have a very good game today, and I mentioned it to my boy earlier because I'm like a lot of the fans. I used to get on Sanchez's back and stuff, but I think credit where it's due, and he did a lot of good blocks. He read a lot of runs well. He was calm, and he's definitely improved a lot under Conte. There's no doubt about it, So for me, I think probably Harry Kane got man of the match, and rightly so. But Sanchez was up there for me. I think he had a really good game, I really do.
Can I just check what one of you said about Højbjerg? Because I thought Højbjerg was fantastic.
Yeah, me. I didn't think Højbjerg had a great game. I didn't. I really didn't. No.
Bro, you be tripping.
What do you guys think? Do you think he had a good game, dear?
I thought he was good. I thought he cut out a lot of passes.
No.
I thought he's aggressive in the midfield.
No, I didn't.
He breaks up
ball
play.
away loads. I thought he was crap today. No.
Yeah, thank you. Well, listen, look, this is what the show's about. It's about opinions, but I saw him giving a lot of ball aways, and I don't think he had a very good game. But that's just my opinion.
I thought this was about impressions. That's why I was on.
Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying for a second drop Højbjerg, but if you're talking about who played really well and performed great and who didn't, I don't think Højbjerg did today. But everyone's got an opinion, isn't it? It is what it is. I mean, the main thing is we won and we didn't concede a goal. So in a weird sort of way, they kind of all had a good game. Do you know what I mean? So
I normally ask this question a lot later on in the show, but let's do it now. Who would you give your man of the match to?
See, I did say Kane for the fact that he got the 2 goals and stuff like that, but I think I'm going to go for Sanchez today, because for me, I thought he had a really, really good game. So I'm going to, and I don't think I've ever given Sanchez the man of the match before. I don't think so. For me, it's Sanchez.
What about you, Rich?
Bentancur again. I think I like what he does. I like he does all that kind of dirty work. Never really gives the ball away. I think today Højbjerg, I think he marshals the obviously defensive side of the game well, but offensively, he just gave the ball away too easily for me.
Agreed.
And didn't really connect defence and attack, where sometimes he's just like. But going back to what Gary was saying, I think Sanchez definitely improved, stayed on his feet. None of that's those silly sliding tackles where he's like both feet. And he didn't overcommit himself. The forward passes were great, even backwards. Did well. I think there's some performances that normally go unseen that were obviously very good today. Like you say, Sanchez and Bentancur. I just think there's still a little bit. When's Basuma going to actually start for? Is it Basuma? Sorry, is he going to add something to our midfield? I'd like to see him start at some point.
Well, Adrian's saying Specsavers for the panel. Adrian, I agree with you. I thought Bentancur was great today. Darren, who would you give man of the match to?
I mean, you probably give it to Kane just for scoring the 2 goals, but I think Højbjerg had a great game. I thought he was breaking it up. I thought he was solid. I thought he played really well, and like the understanding both of them have got. I'm sure we can sort of analyze it and dissect it all. Just out of curiosity, did you guys see the 9-minute analysis of Conte's tactics today, a couple of days ago, that the official Spurs put out? Did you see that?
I haven't seen it. No,
really interesting. So he talks to oh God, who's the ex-Man U German midfielder? Oh God, I can't think of his bloody name. He used to play for plays football in Germany and Man U. Really annoying voice, floppy hair.
That's most of them.
Can't think. Anyway, so he did a 9-minute analysis of his tactics, and it was really, really interesting. Really interesting. It was a really nice bit of geekery. I thought, Højbjerg, I thought was played really well today. I thought he was good, and I love the understanding. And everyone knows their roles now, and I'm sure when we go into the analysis of the game we can chat about this more, but I just think that we are a completely different side now, that the tracking back and the defense and everyone bombing back, and Forest were trying to catch us on the break and they couldn't, because before they knew it, there was 4 at the back, solid as a rock. All the wing backs, Perisic and Royal back into position. Loved it. Really solid now. Different mentality.
What about you, Chris? Who do you think?
What man of the match? Højbjerg.
Yeah, Højbjerg. Yeah, interesting. See, yeah, it's
interesting. We all see different things.
Yeah, and, but that's the thing, isn't it? We all watch the game. Some are there, some watch it on the telly, but we all form different opinions. But that's the beauty, we all love the same club, but we have different opinions on each player. I mean, Perisic. I thought Perisic was pretty good. Yeah, he was good as well. Perisic, he had a good game. He's
a class player, and I think that there's so much more to come from him. Yeah. And funny enough, I've just released my fan cam from the game today, and right at the end of it, I said, when Spurs actually get out of first gear, we are going to be playing some seriously good football, because we're 4 games in, we've won 3, we've drawn 1. It's another clean sheet, and this is why I put this comment on screen from Roy. Can't believe people are moaning, and the team went away from home with a clean sheet, not playing brilliant, and winning is how you win the league. And I completely agree, Gary. Even in the stadium today, although the away end was fantastic and great atmosphere as normal from the Tottenham fans, there were quite a lot of people moaning about how we were playing, and you know, the way that we played today. What is your take on the season so far with the 4 games that we have played? Because we haven't lost. We do look an organised team. It does look completely different under Antonio Conte. And as I've said, when we actually find that second gear, I think that we will be frightening.
Yeah, listen, look, we're miles ahead than when we was under Nuno. I mean, listen, we had conversations under Nuno and we weren't even having any attempts on goal. We weren't creating nothing whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Now, it's interesting because I think up until, I don't know when it was, you'll probably know, we hadn't had a single corner. And you kind of look at it 2 ways. You think, oh, we should be making corners. But at the end of the day, corners, possession, they don't mean nothing. As long as you're winning games, who cares? It doesn't really make a difference. You know what I mean? And I think under Nuno, a game like that, we would have probably at best drawn or lost. So for me, I'm not worried. The thing is, you're going to get frustrated when you see, you know, a lot of people are going to be complaining about Son. They're going to be saying he's not on top form. And they're right to say that. Some people will say drop him, start Richarlison. Other people will say stick with him. It's 6 and 1, half a dozen the other, Chris. As long as we're getting results and we're grinding out wins and we're making chances, I don't give a monkeys, mate. You know, at the end of the day, you know, listen, our defending against Chelsea was not great. But when we go to Stamford Bridge, we don't have enough belief in ourselves. But listen, do you think under Nuno, we would have got a draw against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, mate? Absolutely no chance. So you've got to look at it, the bigger picture, and say, yes, okay, look, we're not got out of first gear. We're not playing our best football, but we're winning games. And I mean, Stamford Bridge, a draw at Stamford Bridge, the way we done it, I don't care if people call me sad. That is a win. You know, that is a win to nick a draw in the 96th minute. So, and again today, yes, look, Harry Kane missed a penalty. He scored 21 of his last penalties. At some point, he's going to miss a penalty. But I was scrolling through social media while I had the game on, and you got people complaining about Harry Kane. There was even someone there questioning if he should be taking penalties. I mean, just get a grip of things at the end of the day. We're not always going to win pretty. There's going to be games, even at home as well, where we scrape wins and sometimes probably get a draw, and we're not going to be happy. But we are winning games and we're scoring goals. And the main thing for me, more than anything, is we are creating chances. Chris, you know as well as me, how many games did we go to abroad and in this country where we weren't even creating chances, Chris? And I don't mind if we're going to win or draw, just as long as we go for it. You know what I mean? But Chris, you're right. We're not out of first gear yet. I don't actually quite know what that is. And Harry Kane said about that post-interview, he can't really put his finger on it. They're sitting a bit deep. But listen, you go to Forest, they're a team that's just been promoted. You know, the fan, you know, all the fans, the TV, everyone wants them to win. And we've gone there and we've won 2-0 and kept a clean sheet. And, you know, the other thing, just quickly, what I love about Harry Kane is, you know, he misses that penalty and his head don't drop. He's like, do you know what? All right, I've missed a penalty. I'm just going to go forward again. And I think if we probably had another 5 minutes, he probably would have got a hat-trick, you know. So for me, I've got absolutely no worries with Kane and I've got no worries with Son at the moment. You know, if Conte decides to drop him and start Richarlison, fine. Or if he sticks with Son, either way, Son is going to come good, Chris. So I'm not worried about that either.
He was furious, Gary. Did you see him shout?
Yeah, he was. But I'm glad he was. I'm glad he was. He's annoyed with himself. And let's be honest, lads, you wouldn't want Son to be coming off there and laughing and joking and smiling, because if I see him sitting down and he's having a laugh, one of his teammates sitting on the bench, I'm going to be a bit concerned about that. So I'm glad I saw that. You know what I mean? That's what you want, really, isn't it? You know?
Rich, let's come to you on the same point. What have you made of Spurs overall in the 4 games that we have played in the Premier League?
Yeah, it's obviously Conte's worked on the training field a lot around kind of resilience, staying in the game, high energy. I think some of the first half performances have been quite tough to watch or quite slow. And I remember talking to you, I think last time I was on, talking about when a Spurs going to get that early goal. Obviously, we got that today. And for me, that was really important that we kind of quietened down the crowd. Like you say, the City ground is, for those that have never been, it's a great ground for the atmosphere. The crowd really get behind the team, whatever the result. I think it's important that we kind of, if our expectations are to be second or third or even challenging for the title, we need to look at the team and have we got players that enable us to do that. I think the Chelsea game was like, we were lucky to obviously get that point then. We're definitely building as a team. You can tell we're building, I've still got reservations for a couple of players within the team, especially in those wing back positions with Royale not really kind of do anything attacking wise, but he actually works really hard today. And I think obviously the Forest wingers and wing backs are like obviously what Conte is wanting for us. He wants them to have a lot of ball. He did a lot of work off the ball today. I think, like you said, it's about gear changes and also playing the long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Somebody said on the TV today, and that is the case.
Harry Kane, yeah,
we're not dropping points. Apart from we actually picked up points from Chelsea, and those games that we would have lost last season, which we did actually lose last season, we actually got points and we won those games. So very positive. Conte, we were so lucky to have him as a manager. He's a world-class manager. We've got weapons on the team and on the bench. Richarlison came on and made an impact. I think we still need to make a dive into the transfer market before Thursday, and that might be important for moving forward. But it's really positive, really positive.
Darren, let's come to you on the same point. Picking up points when we're not playing, that particularly well. And as Richard said earlier, when Harry Kane missed that penalty, some fans around me said this has got 1-1, a 1-1 written all over it. Forest are going to go up the other end because Forest, let's face it, even though they only had one shot on target, they had a lot of opportunities, a lot of shots that they blasted over the bar that we'll get into, headers that went just wide. They were very unlucky not to score today. But is that how you take it, that Spurs are now grinding these results out, not even playing well? And when we do go into second gear, it will be frightening for other clubs that we face?
I completely agree. I think it's all about mentality. And I think that Conte has changed the whole ethos of this team. We're not, They said when he came and had a chat on Sky afterwards, they asked him the question, when you came in, were you worried that Tottenham has got this, not this myth, this ethos about them that they will roll over and get their, tummy tickled effectively, which is what we do or we have done in the past. And he said, I was completely aware and it was my job to change that. And I think he is doing, this is his first full season as our manager. We already see the results. Like I said, everyone knows their role now within an inch. He was talking, you need to watch that analysis. He was talking about only having something like 25 yards between Dyer and Kane. That he wants them very close together. And things like that, and the wing backs dropping back, and everyone knows their position now. Yes, you are absolutely right. Forest did have a lot of chances and inches wide in some cases, but what do you say? They didn't score. They didn't score. They were. Sanchez was great. Dyer was great. Blocks off the line. It's the mentality, and we didn't play well. They had the vast majority of the possession, but it's a clean sheet. And I just, I love the idea that he will go away and just analyze everything in that game and take it forward. And I'm just very, very excited. It wasn't a good performance, and we kept a clean sheet and scored 2 goals away from home. It bodes so well. It bodes so well. And even things like a late draw against Chelsea, all right, we didn't win. That, is a massive mentality.
That was amazing. That was
3 times last season by
four.
Oh, Christ, thank you. You and me stood on the terraces together, Chris, at Stamford Bridge, and it was awful. It was
horrible place to go.
Horrible. Horrible.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys know that I go to see Spurs home and away week in, week out, and the amount of stadiums I've gone into, I tell you what, Nottingham Forest City Ground today was very intimidating for Tottenham Hotspur today. They were very, very loud. They didn't stop singing. And I would even go as far as saying that was probably the best atmosphere from a home crowd in the Premier League for as long as I can remember. So that place... Wow. If their crowd can get them over the line in certain games, I think Forest would be all right, because I thought that they played fairly well today. And Antonio Conte after the game said we knew very well the difficulty of this game, especially in this stadium. Our fans, our supporters were really important. And as I said earlier, Spurs fans in the away end were great as well. Gary, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. Were you surprised by the starting 11? We've heard Antonio Conte say a number of times that there's going to be lots of rotation, but there was absolutely no rotation. It was the same starting 11 that beat Wolves last week.
Well, the thing is, he's not really going to change it too much, isn't it? Because we're winning. So it's a bit like, if you start losing games, then all right, you've got to try and juggle things around and change it.
Sorry, let me just say, because of course we're facing West Ham on Wednesday.
Yes.
We have got games coming thick and fast, and of course during this show later on, we will talk about the Champions League draw as well. Of course, we will be playing Champions League football. Games will be coming every 3 to 4 days up until the World Cup now. It's going to be a very, very busy period. That's why I asked the question about Conte possibly changing it. I know we're going to come on to talk about the West Ham game as well later, about possible changes. But were you surprised? Because I expected 1 or 2 today.
I thought possibly there could be 1 or 2, but when I saw the team lineup that came out, I wasn't that surprised, to be honest with you. And I think what you got to bear in mind now is the level of fitness of these players in comparison to where they were before under Nuno and even Mourinho to where they are now. Their fitness levels are a lot better. So I think, you know what, there's going to be some changes for West Ham, yes, and then when we start going to the Champions League. But that's why we've got a bigger squad. And what I love is, like today, look, Son isn't firing on all cylinders. We all know that, okay? But when you've got someone like Richarlison to bring him on, and listen, I'm sure we'll mention it, but he's a bit like, Bruno Fernandes, a Diego Costa. You hate him when he ain't in your club, but when he's in your club, you love him. And when he was doing that little kick-ups and just winding them up and showboating, I love it. I want that. That's what I want, And let's not forget, we didn't have Romero today. Do you see what I mean? He's a massive miss for us. So don't let that go unnoticed, because I think it would have been a totally different game and probably a lot easier if we had Romero, because, he bosses it on the pitch, mate. And so you got to bear in mind, there's been a few little hiccups and we changed players around. We're still winning games and we've got a bigger squad. And when you can bring on Richarlison for Son, who's not performing, and he comes on and plays, listen, how good was that crossover to Harry Kane with the outside of his boot? I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. I was jumping up and down, going mental. I love stuff like that. And showboating over in the corner. Yes, he's got that thing on him where he went over and was rolling over, I'm thinking, nothing's touched you, mate. But I'd rather even be on my team than on the other. Yeah. So for me, it's all just a positive and a win-win situation. But the rotation thing, listen, the more successful we are, the more games we're going to win. It's almost difficult to really call what team he's going to play, because if we're winning with a team, Chris, what do? You don't necessarily want to change it, but then we have made changes already because Romero's injured. So we are still getting over the line and we are still winning games. And I put Stamford Bridge down as a win. I don't even say it's a draw. I think that's a win. 96-minute bang. It's a win, with our record. What is it? Twice in 34 years. So for me, I just think it's really positive, mate. And I can only see us getting stronger. There's going to be plenty of games in the future where they're like that. But like we've all discussed and like we all said off there, those were the games that we would have lost last season. So if we can win them sort of games, apart from Arsenal, it pains me to say Arsenal are playing pretty well. But if you look at City and Liverpool and all the other teams, they're not really doing it. I know Liverpool had an amazing win, but before that, they got turned over by Man U. So if you look at it, putting Woolwich aside, because they will start losing and making mistakes at the back, because that's what they're good at, and they'll get players sent off because it's Woolwich, so we know that's going to happen with them anyway, so they're irrelevant. But if you look at all the teams down from there, none of them, their form is really as good as what ours is, really. If you think about it, we're probably the second, I don't know what the stats are, but we've got to be pretty up apart from Woolwich, we're right up there for form. So I'm happy. I'm really, really happy, mate. Yes, my nails are bitten down and I was effing and blinding when Kane missed a penalty, probably like we all were. But you mentioned it as well. Normally when a penalty miss like that happens, and you said the fans were saying it, that's when we kind of lose a bit of confidence and maybe let them equalise. But that wasn't happening today. Would it have been a different game if they had a Harry Kane or Haaland? Possibly. But they didn't. So what?
You can, and at the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Rich, let's come to you. Let's still talk about the starting 11. Hugo Lloris in goal, back three of Sanchez, Dyer and Davis. Wing backs Emerson Royale and Perisic. In the middle, Højbjerg and Bentancur. Forward three of Kulusevski, Kane and Son. And then on the sub-bench today, Doherty, Richarlison, Sessegnon, Forster, Spence, Tanganga, Sarr, Lenglet and Basuma. Any surprises there for you?
No, I knowing what Conte's like with setting up his team, he's looking for a team that he can trust in the scenarios that happened today. Whether the fans liked how the team played or not, that's Conte's philosophy. It's about getting those wins, winning ugly, and that's what obviously they did today. I think against West Ham, we might see a couple of those players that came off the bench actually starting, but I think generally
I paid him.
Conte's going to stick to the players that he can trust until the new players are integrated into what he wants and what the style of play that he expects. As you saw today as well, players that came off were the ones that were maybe a bit fatigued from the game before. Obviously, Sonny has not hit the heights. Had a couple of gilt-edged chances. It's just, I think it's what it is. It's just that striker's issue around confidence. As soon as he gets one, same with Richarlison. I just want Richarlison and Sonny to bag one in the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure they'll be.
Darren, do you want to say any more on the starting 11?
No, I think it's been said. Like, if it's not, you know, we've played 4 games, we've won 3 and drawn 1. Why would he? There's no logic.
Exactly, Darren. Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you know, if we get battered and a few of our players have absolute shockers, then you could say, okay, well, maybe they're due to be swapped out and let someone else. We got strength in depth. We've never had a squad like we have now in years. We are extremely lucky. And when people like players like Richarlison can come on, who was it? Let me just read a comment. It was Blue Strat. Someone said that if there we go, Blue Strat Gamer said if De Bruyne crossed that ball, Sky would have been all over it. But Richarlison hardly got a mention. I think they're right. You know, we've got players like Richarlison who can come on. And I'm going to use my favourite word here, Chris.
We will be talking about Richarlison shortly.
Yeah, can do his shithousery and all of that, and play with the swagger. Bring it all on, you know. And you know, we as Tottenham fans hate Suarez. We used to hate all the you know, all the other players. You know, he's
Costa, Suarez,
Costas. Thank you,
Bruno. I hate them all.
All hate them. But I tell you what, put them on our team.
I love them.
Yeah,
exactly. Spot on. It's spot on, though. You're absolutely right. That's it. You're absolutely right, Darren. 100%.
So I love it, and I'm excited about Richarlison. What I saw him, it was the first look of Richarlison, a decent look. I think he came on in the 71st minute.
Something like that.
And so we had a good 20 minutes to see him today, and I really liked what I saw. I thought he was great. Not only that wonderful cross with the outside of his boot, but the way after Cess crossed it to Kane and it got booted out. It was Richarlison, don't forget, that absolutely ran to the wing and got it back. And you know, I just love that. It's brilliant. It's great. It really bodes well.
And probably turned to Sessegnon and said, "That's how it's done."
Great.
Gary, let's come to you. Let's talk about the key incidents from the game. Of course, after 5 minutes, Tottenham Hotspur scored their first goal through Harry Kane. A wonderful ball from DJ Kulusevski. What is more, you know, every time we do these week in, week out, I just don't know what more we can say about Harry Kane and, you know, he's finishing. That was another fantastic finish from him.
Yeah, amazing. And give it up for Kulusevski as well, because he's probably one of my favourite players at the moment. I absolutely love him. He's got a real weird swagger way about him, the way he walks and runs and turns and stuff and just different directions. But his eye for a pass is absolutely amazing. I mean, Kane was the first to say he didn't really connect with it properly. But, you know, I can't remember what game it was, but I remember he scored, I don't know it was last season before. Was it against Man United? And he actually scored while he was falling over. And that's the thing with Harry Kane. Like, even when he don't hit these properly, he can still score a goal. And that's why I'm not bothered in the slightest about the penalty. People were moaning all over social media. I'm thinking, he scored 21 in a row. He's got 2 in this game. He could have got a hat-trick. Why on earth are you moaning him about a penalty? I don't think he is probably the best penalty taker in the world, okay? But at some point, even being the best penalty taker in the world, you are going to miss a penalty. And that is just fact. The thing about Kane, which I love, is the majority of the time he puts it away. Difficult chances, easy chances, no matter what it is. Very, very rarely he misses a chance. And you know what? And when he does miss it, it does stand out in your head like that penalty miss will do for a lot of people. But what he gives to the game and for us, I know we've said it a million times, but we're so lucky we got Harry Kane, mate. Because in games like that where you really need to dig out results and stuff, he's the player you need. You know what I mean? You know, and Chelsea, like Darren mentioned it, you know, the 96th minute, he didn't have a great game against Chelsea either, but he popped up right at the end, you know, and I think he not just him, but he's one of the differences between Nottingham Forest today. They don't quite have that Harry Kane, and they didn't quite have that Kulusevski or Perisic. I don't know if it's experience. I don't know if it's just world-class players, but that's the difference. And I think that's when it tells, when you don't perform well, and you don't have a great game and you're at home or away from home, but you've got them big players, you know, they will always get you a goal. And, you know, if you just stop and think for a minute in that game, how he must have felt when that penalty was saved, psychologically, it's not going to be nice for him. You know, he's gone so many penalties scoring, and you're in the midst of a game and you miss a penalty, to then still carry on and have the eye for the run and to get another opportunity to score. He just doesn't give up, mate. And it don't matter what game it is, who he's playing for, if it's Tottenham, England, his head never drops. And that's the sort of player you need when you've got 1 or 2 minutes of injury time against Chelsea and you nick a draw. That's what you want. And I love him. Yeah. I love it.
Can I just say, sorry, we'll come to it. I love the movement of that first goal, because if you notice, Kulusevski came right inside, swapped over with Kane, and came onto the left-hand side, which he never normally does, and they completely swapped sides. And I just thought it was a really nice movement to see him come right in.
He's brilliant though, Kulusevski, lads, isn't he? Don't you find him amazing in midfield?
A very hard-working player. Very hard working.
Really, really good. So we're so lucky to have him. Brilliant.
Now, in the 13th minute, Harry Kane had another chance, but he was tackled in the Forest box. And then after 16 minutes, Heung-min Son, with a great effort that went just over the bar. A couple of minutes later, Heung-min Son with a run past the Harry Kane just wide. Now, I mentioned Heung-min Son a couple of times there. Rich, let's come to you. Antonio Conte, before this game, in his pre-match press conference, he was asked by the media, are you worried about Heung-min Son's form? He said, no, I'm not worried. Are you worried?
No, I think obviously Sonny set the bar really high last year, didn't he? Yeah. With his finishing, the ratio of goals. And I think what's happened, I think I've alluded to this before, Harry's had a great pre-season. You look at all the goals that he scored pre-season, and he's kind of really took that momentum into the season. And I think Sonny, with the tour to South Korea, I think he suffered from fatigue of that. That's what I personally feel. Mentally as well as physically, the kind of having all that spotlight on him, and then coming back into the Premier League, it's been able to kind of revisit the heights of it that he did last season. He's struggling with, and I think it's all about confidence. I think he'll have a chance whether he scuffs one in, he gets that goal that would just reignite that scoring touch that he will get back. The problem he's got now, obviously, Richarlison's biting his heels to actually get more game time, and that's what's good about the team. When you've got those weapons on the bench that now hold everybody to account. Look on the bench. There's people that can come on to change the game.
It's exciting, though, isn't it? It's exciting.
Last season we didn't have those options. We had players that should have come on to change the game, which were just passengers. So this year, I think Sonny's roles also maybe changed slightly. And I think with Harry dropping in, you saw that today, he dropped in, and Sonny taking that central role, the chances that he might get more or he might get less chances. But it's really key that for confidence-wise, that he takes one of those in the next couple of weeks, especially having the Champions League, obviously, games come up. Yeah.
I enjoyed singing the we play on a Wednesday night and you play on a Thursday night. It was good in your way in today, that was. Darren, nice. In the 21st minute, Nottingham Forest had a shot. Good but comfortable save from Hugo Lloris to his left-hand side. 10 minutes later, another cross come over from the Forest wing. Gibbs White, Hugo Lloris had to come out and get a hand to that. Is there any part of you that is concerned of how many chances we actually conceded today? Because bearing in mind last week, Wolves had a number of opportunities, but they could not find the back of the net. Very similar to today, a number of opportunities for the opponent, either just headed wide or just shot over the bar. But are you concerned of how many chances that we are giving the opposition?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, actually, because on another day, you know, if 1, 2 or 3 of them go in, you know, you're thinking, shit, it is worrying. But I've got to say, you know, the stats don't lie. And Hugo, I think, is coming into a really good period at the moment.
Yeah.
I think he's really solid. He had a mistake in him, as we all know. And I don't know who's coaching him now, what he's doing differently, but he's just making good decisions. Like a couple of times today, he chose to punch the ball instead of catch it. And they were great punches, like get out of it, you know, really good, solid punches. He would come out of his box and collect. He's looking really confident now. And I think he's like I say, he's coming into his pomp. I really do think that. And hopefully, touch wood, you know, in answer to your question, yes, it's worrying. Of course it's worrying. But I mean, you know, we got a clean sheet. You know, we got a clean sheet. I don't know what else we can do. It's like all the people on Twitter that moan before a ball's been kicked. I had to laugh when I was scrolling through. Someone was saying, "Oh, why doesn't he substitute Højbjerg for Basuma? You know, if he doesn't change his selection, Conte can off." And I love, come on, like it's insane. You know, you moan when it's hot, you moan when it's cold. You know, it's too hot. You know.
Well, can I ask that question to all three of you? What do you say to the Spurs fans that are moaning about the performances right now? What do you say to it?
We haven't lost. We've won 3 and drawn 1.
And you're always going to get a certain proportion of fans that are going to moan. Like Chris, I've been in the stand with you and we've won 3 or 4-0 and people will moan. They'll moan that we didn't get 6. They're always going to moan about something, or, oh, well, none of the goals were really taken that well and it was a bit of fortune on that goal and this. And I mean, there's, like what Darren said, there's going to be people moaning that we gave them too many opportunities. But if memory serves me right, Man City went 2-0 down at home. I mean,
there you go, Gary.
Come on.
But Bert writes on the screen there, we can't keep riding our luck.
Yeah, but listen, Man City went 2 down at home and they came back and they won. We've just gone away from home and kept the clean sheet and won. So who was the better team? Think about it.
Yeah.
You know, they're going 2-0 down at home to Crystal Palace, for God's sake. So we've got away from home. We've scored 2 goals. Harry Kane's missed the penalty. Still got another goal afterwards. I mean, listen, it's a game of football, right? That every team is going to make opportunities. How many of them opportunities Forest have were really clear cut and we was like really, really, you know, hearts in hand worrying? Not many. I mean, you know, they're going to have a lot of possession. They're going to play from the back. They're going to try and get crosses in and everything else. But ultimately, like what Darren and Richard mentioned, even Eric Dyer, I mean, listen, the biggest thing for me is, right, every time the opposing team would get a free kick or a corner, I'd be thinking, here we go again. It's going to concede. If Eric Dyer is going to let it go over, Lloris is going to drop it. He's going to come for it. It's going to go over him. That's not happening now. They're going to be making opportunities because they're the home team anyway. We're winning games, man. It's good.
I just remind Spurs fans how crap it was when we had Nuno as manager.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't
not a chance on goal.
And
we don't mention him on this channel anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see the very surreptitious use of the T word after 40? Chris flashed it up and then flashed it after 45 minutes.
Yeah,
it's too early.
Yeah.
It's too early to be talking.
No, but you flashed it up, Chris. You flashed 45 minutes. It was like subliminal.
Oh,
but I also think, obviously, because we're playing this low block at the moment in regarding some of the teams, that they're going to have chances. And like some of the obviously listeners and viewers are mentioning, that we've only conceded 1 shot on target. So teams are going to, if they're not able to break us down, then they're going to have some of those opportunities that do go wide. So I think it's some of those stats are a little bit false in regarding, we've given them obvious chances, but that's because they're having to take these kind of these chances that are not really a chance, really. And
that's it, Richard. They're like half chances. They're half chances, aren't they? And that's what we seem to be doing as a team and defending. We're giving the opposing team, a lot of half chances, which for me, I think is definitely progression. That's a million times better than where we were.
I think the back three played well today as a unit.
Yeah, I do.
I think when you look at the chances that Forest had, there were like you said, Gary,
half chances.
Why didn't you look? Is I think it's also when we play different against the opponent. The opponent that's in front of us, if they're playing a different strategy, then Conte's putting a different philosophy on that game, a strategy to win that game. So it's going to be different week on week, and I think that's where at the moment the players are getting used to that. I think.
And I think, Chris, just very quickly on that as well, like the reason why we don't need to worry as much is if we only had those 2 chances and scored those 2 goals, then okay, there would be a little bit more to the argument. But we had loads of chances and we created a lot of chances. So on another day, as we all know, we could have comfortably won that 5 or 6-0. So that's another reason why we don't need to worry too much. Look, we're never going to be happy. A lot of the fans, there's going to be mixed views and stuff on, a lot of people say we should go to the City Ground and turn them over, Forest. But at the end of the day, look, they've come up, they're at home, they're going to do everything they can to beat us. I think it was a good game. It wasn't the best spectacle of the game, but I think if you look at the chances that they had and the chances that we had, we deserved to win that game and we were the better team.
It doesn't help as well when pundits like Chris Sutton say that we should win 5-0. I'm like, that's not going to happen.
And I don't know about you guys, but Jamie Carragher, he just really annoys me. So anti-Tottenham. He really got on my nerves today. Honestly, as soon as Kane missed that penalty, it's like he was loving it. He was wishing for Nottingham Forest to equalise.
At the end of the game, you know what Kane should have done? He should have gone past him and not acknowledged him like Ronaldo.
Yeah, like what Ronaldo done.
He should have done that. That would have been hilarious.
But they were all doing it. Martin Tyler, all praying for a Nottingham Forest win, weren't they? Come on, because we're Tottenham. We know what it's like. But bring it on.
As I said at the start, we are now unbeaten in 10 Premier League games, and keeping 6 clean sheets as well. Darren, let's come back to you. In the 32nd minute, Heung-min Son was played through, saved by the goalkeeper. He then later found out that it was offside. But Henderson for Forest today had a good game, didn't he?
The keeper?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Played well, solid. I liked his celebrations after the penalty. I'm all up for that. That was great. Yeah. It's good. Like it's been said, Forest aren't crap. They didn't play crap today. They've just come up. They did well. They tried to catch us on the break, but unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, they just didn't have anything up front. I've just got a tab open. Lingard was good. That young Brennan Johnson was good. They got some good players. They tried to
turn teams over, aren't they, at the City Ground? You can tell they're going to turn.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
They played. There were periods of that game where they were playing some really nice football, passing it through us. But they're like a couple of players short of being a decent team.
Yeah, Darren, are you concerned about Heung-min Son's form? Because I must say, I'm not. I know that Heung-min Son has great talent. We saw what he did last year. 7 years today, actually. We signed him 7 years ago today. It's been a fantastic 7 years of Heung-min Son, hasn't it?
Well, exactly. And as Rich said earlier, when you set the bar so high, like Golden Boot winner, 23 goals last season, it's like you can't expect him to necessarily hit the ground running and banging in goals left, right, and centre. Once he scores, he's such an amazing player and a world-class talent that you don't suddenly turn shit overnight. All right, we've played 4 games this season and he hasn't scored, but that doesn't make him crap. That's not an excuse for everyone to go, right, sub him. Because, who's to say he won't get 1, 2, 3, in the next few games? He's too much of a talent. And if he does want to sub him and bring Richarlison on, fine. I'm not worried about Son. He's an amazing player, absolute amazing talent, incredible. That documentary on him, you see how hard he works. And both feet, as good as he is with his right, he's as good as with his left. He's an unbelievable player. No worries whatsoever with that guy. Incredible talent.
Gary, I'm now going to give you the permission to moan, but it's not about Spurs. It is about the referee, Craig Paulson. Talk me through that decision, given a yellow card for the handball on the line.
I just don't understand it, mate. But do you know what? I just don't understand how City, just quickly, not just that, but how they ended that game with 11 players. It's just absolutely bizarre. I mean, I'm all for like the referee letting things go and everything else, but not just, I mean, that handball was ridiculous, right? If he don't put his arm up, it's like basketball. That's coming over, Kane scoring it. So it's stopped a goal, right?
Can I just ask, because everybody was really confused and baffled, and we all expected the red card to be shown. On the TV, when you watched it, was the commentator, the co-commentators, were they expecting a red card as well?
No, Carragher then in the end said, oh, well, I think a yellow was the right decision, but that's because Carragher's anti-Tottenham. I mean, at first they didn't know why it was taking so long. Was the penalty going to be given or not? But I could clearly see, obviously it's a penalty, and obviously he stopped a goal-scoring opportunity. Yeah. Harry Kane is going to score that goal. So, listen, look, we can look at it another way. If it was accidental, you give the penalty and he gets a yellow card. Okay, that's fair enough. He's put his arm up in the air like basketball. He's deliberately done it. He stopped the goal from Harry Kane. How is he not sent off? I don't understand it.
The argument, Gary, I think in commentary was that it was too high and Kane wouldn't have met it, but which was nonsense. Because on the replay, it was dropping nicely.
Yeah, it's God. Even I'd have got that, and I'm 5'0". That's absolute rubbish. Listen, it's just Sky TV and biasism. They're just anti-Tottenham, I'm telling you. So this is the reason. They were always going to try and twist it stuff like that. That was a sending off. But at the end of the day, do you know what? In a way, I'm glad he stayed on. We beat them with 11 men. They've got nothing to make excuses about. But I just find it unbelievable. And there was a couple of naughty tackles in there. I think they got very lucky not having a sending off, Chris. I think there should have been a sending off in that. There was a few. How many times was Harry Kane in that pulled back by his shirt? It's winding me up. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, it was getting a bit too much, isn't it? You know? And I don't know. Look, listen, look. In some ways, I don't kind of want to send it off. I want us to beat the 11 players on the pitch, but it gets frustrating. And when you're seeing decisions like that, great, look, we got the penalty. Harry Kane missed it. He's going to miss at some point. You know, it is what it is. But how is he not being sent off for that? But then there was one the weekend, wasn't there? What was the one where he's handballed about 2 or 3 times? I get the fact that a referee on the pitch can make a mistake, but when VAR's there,
round saw that it went to VAR and then nothing else happened, we were absolutely astounded by it.
But Chris, this is what's happening, mate. Honestly, you can't really call a handball now. We've had this discussion so many times, right? And you'll see a handball and you look and you think, that's deliberate. He's getting sent off. And then all of a sudden, they don't even give a penalty for it. And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I really don't know over in Stockley Park from one decision to another what they're going to do. It's the one thing I don't really know is the handball situation, because when it goes from the ref over to VAR, you just can't call it, mate. It's absolutely bizarre. Look, at the end of the day, it didn't matter. If they had gone down to 10 men and he misses that penalty, do we maybe get an extra goal or 2? We probably would have. We maybe would have got 3 or 4, yeah, maybe because they're a bit light. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. My main objective with that game was to win, and second after that was to keep a clean sheet, because I don't want us conceding in the last minute or 2. It winds me up. You know what I mean? Especially when you should have scored 4 or 5. So it was good enough. But Chris, I don't know. I don't know, because I was screaming in the caravan, going mental. Like, you know, I'm surprised they're not throwing me off this pitch, because it's just. Honestly, it does my head in.
It's as red a red card as you will
ever understand
see.
it.
I mean, some people do that, and the ball hits them on the arm, and they go red card.
He was like this,
and it was unbelievable.
Exactly.
Look, here we are. Look. It's like that. It's just ridiculous.
It was higher than that, Gary.
Listening on audio, Gary's actually got a football out and demonstrating exactly
everything here.
Fantastic.
It's mental. It's absolutely mental.
So calm down a little bit. Rick, let's come to you on the same point. Were you surprised?
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like Darren said, the commentary making. I think the commentary from the VAR cabin or wherever it is, we're talking
Stockley Park,
it wasn't directly going in and it was too high. That's the reason why it wasn't a red card, but it's clearly a red card. Kane was, if you look back at the replay, he was also being held as he was falling as well. So he's held down to get the ball, as well as obviously the defender handballing the ball over the bar. It was a 100% penalty, 100% red card. I think obviously we score that, the game's over. We didn't, but again, resilience-wise, that what's happened this year is Antonio Conte has installed this kind of philosophy where are you still playing with yourself down there? What's going on?
No, he just put a message up from my wife who's down at the bar. So I was just like, oh my God.
She's at the bar, is she?
Yeah, she's down at the bar, yeah.
Gary's wife wants to talk to him, so she's finding it easier to message on here.
Yeah. She can't get hold of me. She just rings Chris, and normally he knows where I am. So
yeah, I tell you what, she likes to ring me as well, but that's another thing.
She loves your impressions. It gets her going. So you know, Vicky. Oh, I love it. Oh, I do love this show. It's brilliant.
But you know, crowd-wise as well. Were you guys like astonished that you were still on the pitch? Then is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Gobsmacked.
Yeah.
It's as red as you will see. It's as red. I mean, and he's probably at home now thinking, "How the bloody hell did I get away with that one?" My God. Yeah. It's incredible.
Well, Darren,
go on. Sorry, go on.
Darren, let's come to you. Let's talk about Tottenham's second goal, because, of course, Richarlison was on the pitch then. Ryan Sessegnon had the ball on the left wing. He didn't seem to look up and see Harry Kane in there completely alone. Harry Kane looked absolutely furious that he didn't get that ball because it was eventually blocked from Sessegnon. And then it was like Richarlison said, "This is how it's done." And, just explain to us what Richarlison done there, because it was... it's unbelievable, wasn't it? It's exactly what I was.
Yeah. So Sessegnon has the ball on the left. He doesn't see Kane. He gets the ball blocked, and Harry Kane literally stops, puts his head in his hands, and goes, like that. You see his whole body tense up.
He was raging.
As the ball's going out on the left, Richarlison just says, "Fuck this," runs to the man, takes it off him.
Pushes him over. It's great.
Pushes him over, and then bang with the outside of his foot. I mean, it was
beautiful, beautiful like that.
It was absolute brilliant. And as your man on the chat said earlier, if that had been De Bruyne, Sky would have been.
Yeah.
It's fairly. Sorry, that
Explain what that is, Chris.
For those of you who are listening to the audio stream, Darren has just simulated onanism.
So that's a good voice, that one.
For those listening in black and white, Darren is the one in the green shirt.
Shit!
Yeah, brilliant. So tenacious.
That's a brilliant voice. That one's brilliant, Darren. I do like that one. That's good.
That's my Pathé News voice. It's Greenwich Mean Time. You're listening to the Chris Cowlin Show with guests Richard Whitehead and Gerald Pick-and-Mix.
How good is that voice, man? That is unreal.
Saturday, 8th of August, and Tottenham Hotspurs have beaten the brilliant. Really,
that's what it's like.
Tenacious.
It's like watching when we last won the league with the commentary. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like watching 1961 all over again with a commentator, Darren.
I know. Come
Darren,
on, you Tottenham Hotspurs.
I'm not joking. Since you said that, we have lost viewers, by the way.
Sorry.
I think that's just the connection, Chris. That's all. Don't worry. It's just the connection.
Really good. Are you watching the numbers just drop with everyone? Yes, I am. Yes.
Oh, dear.
Gary, better come to you now.
Are you sure? I don't know if that's a good idea, mate.
Now, Jed Spence, what did you make of Jed Spence's performance today? I know he didn't have long, but of course, going back to the City ground, it must have been exciting for him, difficult for him in some ways. But
it's pressure, but
actually in the 90th minute.
I know. It's a shame. He would have loved to have got that, wouldn't he? But I think for him it was probably pressure. But I think he was always going to come on, wouldn't he? It had to happen, didn't it? But I like him. You know, he just needs a bit more time. I think we talk about a few of the players that are just going to need a few more games, and then they'll settle in and they'll find their way. But he's good. He was happy. He's all right. He's back there. If he'd have scored, it would have been like absolutely mental. But I've got no complaints, mate. Do you know what? When I look through those players, I don't want to name names, but I'm pretty much happy with most of the team now. The only one I'm still a little bit sitting on the fence is probably Royale, but a lot of the others, including a lot that's sitting on the bench for us, I think we probably maybe need to make maybe one or two more signings in an ideal world. But I mean, Chris, just think about the squad and the team last season to this season. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, look, Jed Spence, if he'd have got that winner at the end, he'd have probably pulled his top off. He'd have got booked, and it would have been an even better day. But listen, it's good. It's good. And I think players like him, we just need a few more games. We're 4 games in. People just need to just relax a little. And you go onto social media, and they're saying, "Oh, this player shouldn't have started, and this one should have come off, and he's not. He should have." Just give the players a bit of time. We've got the Carabao, we've got FA Cup, we've got a lot of games coming up. These players are going to find their feet. You're away from home. It's the 4th Premier League game of the season. It's going to take a bit of time, isn't it? You know what it's like, Chris. You've seen Tottenham your whole life, and you've seen the under 18s, the under 21s, and the main team. It's going to take time.
Yeah,
it's what it is. It is what it is.
Rich, what have you made of Ivan Perisic so far in Spurs?
Oh, Perisic.
Yeah, no, obviously he's a bit of an icon, isn't he, in the team at the moment? I think a lot of Spurs fans like what they see. Obviously, delivery is world class, and I think that's something that obviously Ryan needs to really work on, and that was highlighted. With the chance before we scored the second goal. Perisic, I think what he lacks in legs, obviously he's got experience, and as long as obviously they're working in tandem on the right and left, then obviously we'll have that cover for obviously Perisic. I think he's gonna add assists as well as I think he's gonna get maybe a couple of goals for us as well. He's gonna get opportunities. It's been a real positive for the team, and to have that experience added to the resilience that we've got in the team. Obviously, a great international player, a great club player, and obviously puts in the miles on the pitch as well. He was up and down all day for us today.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you know what? I'd be so surprised at the end of this season he is not in double figures in terms of goals. And interestingly, one of the key points in the game that I didn't mention is when he a cross come over and he actually volleyed it and hit it over the top. But before the game, all the practice that they did, he scored every single one of them. And it's just a shame that he missed the one in the actual 90-minute game. Darren, let's come to you. Let's talk about the next Tottenham Hotspur game. It is West Ham United on Wednesday.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, it's always nervous with West Ham. We hate them and they hate us. So absolutely. But we got. Let me just see because I had. How are they doing? I wrote down.
They won 1-0.
They haven't had the greatest of starts, but they've won 1-0 against Aston Villa today.
Yeah, they won 1-0. I think we've got a really, really good chance. A really good chance of turning them over. Absolutely. I just think that he's. You got to understand that he's a different manager. We haven't had a manager like, even Poch, who got us to the Champions League final. I just think that if we stick with Conte and, renew his contract and we've got him for the long haul, I really think that he could turn the whole ethos of this club around. And, with the backing of ENIC and with that 150 million and Daniel Levy clearly realizing that we're in the last chance saloon now, as a club, and throwing that money behind him. I really think that that he could change the whole ethos of this club around. And I think that beating West Ham and beating Chelsea's and all our bogey teams, I just think that, it's a pivotal time for this club. I'm slightly going off track what you said, but there's no reason that we can't beat West Ham and beat them properly. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I just think that, our whole mentality and all right, we haven't let in a goal, and if they do score, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem for us now. We've got so much strength and depth, and we've got a manager who will literally rip that team a new arsehole, if we concede. I just think that we're so lucky to have him, and I think that we can properly beat West Ham. We can properly beat them.
Gary, your thoughts on Wednesday's game?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I don't even think West Ham is anything to even really think about. I don't hate them because they're irrelevant to me. It's West Ham. So I'm not worried about them. I think we'll go to West Ham and we'll get a comfortable win, and that's it. But what I will say, because Darren, you said you went a bit off subject, but I want to go off that as well. And I think for the first time in a long time, I feel like we could be, do you know where Arsenal had their moment, Man United had theirs, Liverpool had theirs, City had theirs, Chelsea had theirs, and for a long time they weren't very good and they got good. I think we're at that kind of crossroads now where, we've not been very good for a very long time. Let's be honest about it. Tottenham's always Tottenham, Spursy, blah, blah, blah. Spurs is dead and buried now. And I think we're at that point with the manager that we've got, with the stadium that we got, with the money that's been invested. I think we really could start kind of just sort of slowly turning it around. And I'll mention it. We need that first trophy. We do. And it doesn't matter what it is, but we need to win that first trophy. We've already proved we can get back in the Champions League. And we're doing everything like a team that are just starting to... I mean, look how crap Chelsea were for years. Look how crap City were. Look how long Liverpool were amazing and they're not. It goes in like 10-year cycles. And I think there's an opportunity, although Tottenham's been 30 years, there's an opportunity for it to start turning now. And I really do genuinely, and I'm not one of these fans or supporters who gets carried away because I've supported Tottenham for 40 odd years. I remember when we beat Forest in 91 and it was like a carbon copy of that. We missed a penalty in that game. And it was very similar. Gary Lineker missed that in the FA Cup final, like Kane missed today. And you remember things and you go back. And I think for the first time, I actually feel we are actually building something and the time is going to change. And I think it's going to be, I'm not saying we're going to be the Invincibles and go all season and be unbeaten, but looking forward now with Tottenham over the next few years, I think we'll look back at these shows, Chris, in a few years' time and say, God, do you remember when we were talking about getting our first trophy and this and that? And look at us now. And I genuinely do, hand on heart, believe that is going to happen for us. I really, really do.
Yeah, I do feel that it's going to be different now, though, from Wednesday, because we've been playing one game per week. And then, of course, the games are now coming thick and fast, as I said earlier.
Rich, let's come to you. We've got a good squad.
We've got a good squad, and we now need to use it. Are you expecting lots of rotation on Wednesday, Rich? That, would you be surprised, for example, of Richarlison coming in for perhaps Heung-min Son or Dejan Kulusevski?
And Romero obviously coming back into the team as well. That's going to happen.
Yeah, Romero, man.
I think obviously a London derby is different, right? It's the passion, the kind of the desire from both sets of players, the crowd, the impact of the crowd. I think for me, it's still going to be a tough game. I think we'll win, and I think we'll win to 0, maybe 1-2-0 like today. It's going to be a tough physical game, and that's where maybe Richarlison would be needed in a time when Sonny is lacking confidence, and we need somebody like Richarlison to actually get at him and kind of really force their defenders backwards and create those opportunities for Harry. And maybe Sonny comes off the bench and scores.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Carabao Cup now. The draw was made on Wednesday, and we faced Nottingham Forest again. But the game doesn't get played for a couple of months in November, just before the Leeds game, where of course that will be the last game before the break for the World Cup. Darren, were you happy with that draw? Nottingham Forest away in the Carabao Cup third round?
Oh, well, we've beaten once and we'll beat them again.
That's the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I mean,
Move on.
That's it. Next. I mean, it's unless they buy a striker, like a really decent striker and give us something to worry about. But yeah, we've beaten them today and we can beat them again, and good that we played them before them because he's got an idea of how they play and he can look back on this and learn. Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Gary, are you happy with the draw?
Oh, look, I'll change it up just because of what Darren said. I'd have rather a home tie in a smaller club and not a Premier League club. But I'm not worried with the tie. I'm not nervous about it. I think we can quite comfortably win. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter who you draw because if you want to win it, you've got to play whoever, haven't you? So, but am I happy? Well, I would rather be at home and get like a really small team. But ultimately, if you're going to win the Carabao Cup, whoever comes in front of you, you have to beat, innit? So just bring it on, bring it on.
And also,
Italy, wow.
And also for those, competitions, the rotation system's normally really used, isn't it? So you kind of have a different.
Yeah.
So we might be looking different. Obviously, first 11 or so might Forest. So it might be a chance to then get minutes for those players that are needing it. But like you said, if it's the second to last game before the World Cup, I'm sure there'll be as strong a team as it was today. Am I worried? I don't think so. I would be a bit pissed, obviously, if we lost, and then I've got to cope with all the Forest fans giving me shit for the next couple of months.
You don't need that, mate. You don't need that.
Yeah, I will mention the word trophy because if we do get to the final in 2023, it will be 15 years since our last trophy, which of course was the League Cup back in 2008. Now, Salvador has actually written that they're from Italy. If you tell me where you're watching from, I'll put as many on the screen as possible during this stream. Tell me where you're watching around the world. Darren, let's come to you. The Champions League was made on Thursday, and I'm very happy with the draw. We play our first game in just 10 days' time, Marseille at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. In our group, in Group D, is Marseille, Sporting Lisbon and Frankfurt. You happy with that draw? Surely you are.
So I did while it was going on, I was just doing a little bit of research at the absence of Lee McQueen. So Marseille are top of the table. They've won 3 like us and drawn 1. They're on 10 points. Sporting are 13th in the Portuguese league. 1 in the Premier League. They're on 4 points, and Eintracht Frankfurt are 11th in the Bundesliga. They've only won once. So yeah, are you happy? Then yeah, of course. That's a great group to be in. Great group to be in. Marseille's obviously the ones that we got to watch for, but the other two, hopefully, they'll be cannon fodder.
What do you expect, though, Darren? Are you really confident that Spurs can actually win this group against these 3 clubs?
Oh God, of course. You have to be. 13th and 11th.
Yeah.
Sporting and Eintracht. Of course. Why not? Honestly, why not? You've got to be positive. You can't. We're not playing Man City or Real Madrid or Barcelona. It's a great group to be in, and with Conte, he's a different gear. He's different gravy. You've got to be Bogner. Never mind. You've got to be confident.
Yeah. Gary, you happy with the draw?
Yeah, listen, I'm happy. It's a good draw. Let's be honest about it. None of the big teams there, so it's good. Look, I mean, listen, we had the draw of death before and we got to the Champions League final. Do you know what I mean? And we've got a better team now and we've got a better manager. So if you look at it like that, no one, and I mean no one, I'm talking Sky, BT Sport, TalkSport, gave us even a chance getting out of that group, and certainly not getting to the final. So at the end of yeah. Oh, we know. So listen, it's a great group, and I think we'll win it, and there'll be no problem with that. I think it starts getting a bit nerve-wracking when we start getting into the quarters and stuff like that. And I think we will get into the quarters and into the semis, but that's when it gets nerve-wracking. Oh no.
There's no way I believe that Keith is in Pacos de Ferreira. You can't be there, Keith. Surely not.
He's winding it up. He's got to be. He's got to be winding it up.
Rich, still on the subject of Champions League. It would be great being back in the Champions League. I know it's only been a couple of years, but it feels a long time, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Those Wednesday nights, those special nights, obviously for the players and fans. I think it's important that we're back at that stage. I think group wise, we've got not necessarily some banana skins within the group. I've watched a little bit of Marseille recently. Sanchez has just signed for them, so he scored, I think, today. Alexis Sanchez. They've actually had a little bit of investment since they qualified for the Champions League. Home and away, obviously, different kinds of games. I think we're turning the teams over at home, and away it's going to be quite tough going to Marseille and maybe even Frankfurt. But I believe we'll qualify from the group, and maybe the group stage where we'll learn a lot more about the team that we've got and how we can progress in the tournament. I'm not sure I'm looking that far ahead. I'm just one game at a time, and that's kind of gain some confidence by playing some teams that are different leagues, and maybe experimenting the systems as well, playing that back four maybe for a couple of games, as well as obviously the wing backs that we're playing at the moment in the league.
Mm.
Rich, talking about games being thick and fast and in all different competitions now. Now there is just over 4 days left of the transfer window, and of course we will learn, from the West Ham game on Wednesday onwards, where games are coming thick and fast, how good this squad is.
Yeah.
Are you expecting any more signings in this transfer window in the next 4 days?
Well, the kind of information we're getting out of the club is if players go out, then obviously there's be some replacements coming in, and obviously Brian Gill's.
Do you believe that though? Because some of the players going out the door, if Sergio Reguilon suddenly went out the door, do you really think he's going to be replaced because he's not part of the squad anyway? Do you believe that?
Mm.
Yeah, well, whether they replace players in different positions and actually just grow the squad, and actually, I know there's been a lot of talk about obviously the home-grown quarter of players for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll look to invest a little bit more time, effort, and money in those areas. But also the kind of information that you get from Conte is that the club aren't just going to throw money at players that might make a difference. He's wanting players that are going to be straight into the squad, that's going to add competition, if not upskill in those areas. Would I like to see 2 or 3 more players come in? But I think probably we'll just get one extra. Hopefully you can pull like a good rabbit out of the hat and have some marquee signing come through the door. But whether you can do that in 4 days now without obviously the press kind of getting wind of it, it's highly unlikely, especially with agents these days.
What position would you like to see, Chris? Just Rich, out of interest, like if you had to say a position, if
you literally went any position, I'd go that right wing back. I'd go what's name. I think I don't see what Emerson Royal gives us offensively, but also that attacking central midfield position that we've never replaced. Obviously, Eriksen. I think But you need to go for a marquee player. You can't be just throw £15 million on a player that might be good in 2 or 3 years' time. You need to have somebody that's got Champions League experience that's gonna come off the bench and make a big impact in the games, like Richarlison's obviously done. We pay £60 million for him, and he's making a difference. Why can't we spend 50 or 60 million quid on somebody that's going to come off the bench and have an impact in that attacking central midfield area?
Mm. Yeah,
Richarlison will definitely want to start, very soon, Rich, won't he? It will be itching to start in the Premier League for Spurs.
For sure, and the Champions League. I think Richarlison's going to be a player that one of the reasons why he came to Spurs is because of Conte and also the Champions League opportunities. You can tell he's chomping at the bit now, and maybe Son is cracking under a little bit of that pressure.
Rich, last question for you. If you had to give the transfer window a rating out of 10 based on incomings and outgoings, what would you give it?
Outgoings, probably. We've shifted most of the players, haven't we, that we wanted to kind of they're just milling around the under 23s or whatever that have not been anywhere near the squad. So whether that's the Celso, whether that's Nambele, whether that's Reguilon's obviously on the way out. I think Winks as well that we've been talking about year on year. And for me, it's about expectations and aspirations for the team. If our aspirations are just squeezing into that top four and not winning a trophy, then just keep those players around the squad. But if we're talking about going for trophies, challenging for the top 2, top 3 in the league, then we need better quality players that are going to apply themselves. Some of those players that I've just talked about had not clearly applied themselves last year, and they've been found out. And however much off-season training they did, it wasn't good enough. So Conte's just actually doesn't fancy those players. Shift them out, get replacements in that can add value. The team that Gary said earlier is a lot better than last year. It's clearly we've got 5 substitutes this year, and we're able to bring 5 players on that add value. I would say probably a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, you had 9.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day. What, because Forest have bought, like, I don't know however many players they bought in 15,
16 I think. It's crazy.
Wow.
Craziness. You cannot.
I think it's 17 now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 17 now
In the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, mental.
How can you have that squad cohesion? How can you have that? How can you have that telepathic kind of knowing where each of you are when there's so many kind of new relationships to build? I think for us, it's strategically Conte wanted the players in early, and then obviously the odd play coming through later on in the window. I still think we'll get somebody. Hopefully, it's in one of those positions I said. I think teams are going to be found out if they spend too much too early in the window. And like West Ham have just obviously spent, was it 50 million on the Brazilian attacking midfielder that we were after? Is he going to work out? Hopefully not, and hopefully he doesn't play on Wednesday.
And I'm looking forward to seeing some of our signings, like you say, start and have more minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see Basuma. I want to see Jed Spence. He came on in the 90th minute and had 8 minutes today. Well, what can you do in, you know, if it would have been 4 minutes injury time or 3, he'd have played 3 minutes. So I know a lot of people thought he was fantastic. I didn't see enough of him to form an opinion, to be honest. But I want to see these players get minutes and really show us what they can do. I want to see what Basuma can do. I want to see what Jed Spence can do. Who was the young kid that we signed, but he's not eligible to play until 23, Chris? Our last signing.
Who's gone back to Udinese?
Yeah, definitely Udinese. Yeah.
So people like him, like
scored, didn't he? Scored the other day.
Oh right, okay. There you go.
Darren, how would you rate the transfer window? Are you pleased as a Spurs fan? Because when you look at social media, and I know that's not always the best thing to look at, but there's a lot of people very vocal on there stating that the transfer window started so well for Tottenham, but they wanted like a world-class signing. They wanted someone big, a real statement signing for the club before the transfer window ends. Do you feel like that, or are you happy with the window?
I'm happy with it. I'll tell you why I'm happy, because I remember when you had that, and I have mentioned this before, so apologies for repeating myself, when you had your guests on, when we signed Bentancur and Kulusevski, and both your guests, I think it was a Spanish guy and an Italian guy, I think they phrased it as very average Juventus rejects. Well, he's been proved wrong. And I think they have fitted in so well. And, you know, no one knew who Bentancur was. No one knew who Kulusevski was. They're bloody, you know about them now. They've just slotted in so well. And I would give this a 7 or 8. All right, we haven't had that marquee signing. But in terms of the players we've got and the way they fitted in, you know, even Richarlison today when he came on, wow, what a player he's going to be for us. I'm thrilled. And if we don't sign anyone else, that's fine by me, because I think that with the magician, with the wizard, with the conductor, who knows what we can do. You know, I'm happy. I'm happy. I just want to see. I want to see them all get minutes and to really become Tottenham players now, because bringing people on for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, quarter of an hour here or there, it doesn't really give us as fans and them as players a chance to really go out and show what they can do and express themselves. So I think in answer, hopefully, the rotation and the Champions League and all the cups that we're in, hopefully they will all start to bed in as a team. And no matter who he brings on and who he plays, they'll have that understanding with the rest of the team.
And I'm sure we'll see that in the next few weeks with these games coming thick and fast, as we keep saying.
Can I ask you a question, guys? Sorry, I don't want to hijack, and I'm sorry if this has been you've discussed this while I was away. Now that it looks like that Dele has gone to Besiktas, what are your thoughts on his Dele? Have you discussed? Have you had a word about him? Because
we haven't. No. I just think it's such a shame to see a player who was worth £100 million, who Real Madrid wanted to sign for £100 million only a couple of years ago. The decline in a player like him, I've never known it.
It's mad.
It's I think that Spurs, even though if he does well there, I think the maximum Spurs can actually get back in return is about £2 million, which is absolutely crazy numbers when you think and what we said about how much he was worth and what someone was willing to pay. Such a shame.
Yeah,
Gary, what do you want to say?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about it the other day with my wife and my boy, and we just we were trying to rack our brains with it, because for me, all the players that have gone out, none of them have really kind of bothered me that much, but with Dele Alli it did, and I think it did for a lot of fans. I think probably you, Richard, Chris, Darren, a lot of the guys, a lot of the other YouTubers, they all have been very vocal about Dele Alli. And I think the thing with Dele Alli is he did just blast onto the scene, and he was absolutely unbelievable in his technical ability. I mean, Toad, what was the goal? Southampton, the one where he flicked it up and over, and Crystal Palace, sorry. Goals like that, goals like that was Dele Alli. The two he got against Chelsea, the flick in the Carabao. And there was moments with Mourinho and Nuno. I think the overhead kick, he came on once off the pitch and he nutmegged the player, got a penalty. So there was little bits, even the silly little things on the sideline when he kept the ball in, and we went on and scored. There was moments and stuff with Dele Alli where it looked like he was going to get his form back. But the discussion I had with my wife and with my boy, and it's crazy because my wife, as Chris knows, is a Chelsea fan, but even she can't get her head around the Dele Alli situation. And this is a good point as well that you mentioned, because it's not just Tottenham fans, Darren, and it's not just Tottenham fans that are trying to get an answer and work out the rise and fall of Dele Alli. And I don't think anyone will truly know apart from Dele Alli. But what I will say, it is really sad. And if ever there was a player that had lost I don't know if it's his hunger, because I think to myself and I think, how can you be so talented and then just seem to lose it? It's just a really sad thing. And I don't know if it's stuff off the pitch. I don't know if there's stuff going on with his mental health. I don't know what it is. It could be a mental health issue. It could be he's fallen out of love with football. But his ability reminded me of Paul Gascoigne. At least with Paul Gascoigne, Chris, you can say, okay, it was alcohol, it was drugs, it was this, and then his injury, in the final. But with Dele Alli, he's gone from being a world-class player, like you said, 100 million, to just nothing. And it is sad. It's really, really sad, And I don't know, Chris. Guys, what do you think the reason is for it? Because I've got my thoughts on it, but what do you think the reason is?
Lampard came out and made a comment, didn't he? And basically intimated that his head's more or less said that his head isn't in the game. And
that's so sad.
But we all remember the chat that Jose sat him down and Dele's brother and all got to be. It's in your hands, Dele. That he said it's in your hands. You decide. You've got the ability, and it is. To be shipped off to bloody Besiktas, after barely playing for Everton.
Can you lose that ability? Can you actually lose that, or what?
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's a party boy. Maybe he's got the whole thing with Boohoo, his clothing range, and whenever you saw him on Instagram, he'd be in the back of a car, like listening to his trap music, just staring at the phone. You just think, what are you doing? Like, if you're going to do a live, engage with fans, take questions. It's like, what are you playing at? Just live streaming, listening to music from a car. It's just bizarre. Like,
I think it's also you got to think that the attention that a young player gets.
Yeah, but there's other
like
people.
Phenomenal.
You look at Harry Kane. You look at Son. Son's an absolute mega star.
It's different, mate. It's different. I'm in that world. It's different. If you've not got the right people around you, like shielding you from all those kind of things that take you away from sport, like to be the best and to play in a Premier League starting 11, you need to be fully committed. If not, you get found out. Whether it's in one season, whether it's 45 minutes. With players like Dele Alli, he clearly has other things going off in his life. Social media wise, also has a big part, and we all know about the videos in the past that he's been obviously that people have sold of him. So I think it's more his social media has. Really
But do you think it's his mental health? Do you think he's not in the right mind space at the moment as well, and that's affected his ability?
People around him, mate.
You know, Gary, I was going to say that if I was a football club or I was the manager or someone important at a club, I would say to footballers, stay off social media. I'm never a fan of footballers on social media, and I'm surprised that some of the footballers are on it so much. But I don't know whether you guys remember in the January transfer window, we did the live show on the 31st of January. And I kept mucking about to you, Darren, saying any news on Dele about him going on loan to Everton, about being confirmed. And even then, if I think a lot of us can be sentimental about players. I was sentimental about Dele Alli. I was hoping that it would really, really work out for him. And personally, in the January transfer window, I was hoping that he would go out on loan and then come back to Tottenham when he'd sorted himself out, and that's clearly not happened. And when you see Frank Lampard saying, like, and as you said, Darren, when you see Frank Lampard say virtually what Jose Mourinho said about training, it's not great to see. So I just hope that it works out for him and he has a successful career, what's left of it. Wish him all of the very best. Gary, just to close the show, I didn't ask you about the transfer window. Are you happy with the window, and what rating would you give it?
Yeah, I'm happy with the window. I think I'm probably slightly more happy with some of the players we've got out. And I would use an example of, let's go back to last season and say when it got to the when did Richarlison come on today? Was it the 70th minute?
71st minute, yeah.
Right, so 71st minute. Some Tottenham fans are quick to forget that sometimes in that 71st minute, one, we would be losing, and two, he would either bring Dembele off and bring on Winks, or bring Winks off and bring Dembele on. And I think that's what you have to go back to and remind yourself. So I would give that transfer window an 8 out of 10, because you know why? Neither of those things are happening. In the 71st minute now, we're winning the game and we're bringing on Richarlison, who's I love him because he's just winding up players and the team and the commentators. Carragher almost saying, his commentary on it was, he could have got injured doing that. So it was really silly. I remember listening to it. I was thinking, I can't quite grab what he said, but basically he wasn't giving any criticism to the foul. He was criticising the fact that he'd showboating some kick-up. So does that make it all right for that player to slide through him? No, it doesn't.
No.
But do you know what? That's what I would say about the transfer window, going back to it. 8 out of 10. And let's not forget the days when Winks was on, Dembele off, and vice versa. So I'm all up for the transfer window, mate. Yeah? It's good.
Final questions for you. Your score prediction for the West Ham game on Wednesday. And from what you've seen so far, where you think Spurs will finish in the Premier League at the end of the season.
We're starting this early.
No,
Rich, let's start with you.
No.
What do you mean no?
There you go.
What do you mean no?
2-0.
Oh, actually, let me throw in, can we win a trophy? Why not? Go for it.
Can we or will we?
Yeah.
Will we? Will we? The score prediction, where will we finish in the league and will we win a trophy?
Wow. Can we win a trophy? And where would we finish in the league?
Where will we finish? Where will we finish?
I think the West Ham game's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be won on a really tight margin. It'll be 1 or 2-0. I don't think they'll score. I think we've got obviously multiple opportunities to win trophies this year. I'm always really optimistic about the opportunities. I think with Conte, he's going to set his team up maybe slightly different in different competitions. The league is really important, but also, like you said, Chris, thousands of times we need to win a trophy. Will we? Can we? We could win a trophy, Chris, this year. Will we? I don't know. And league-wise, I think you've got to look top 3, haven't you? I think you've got to look for progress in the league. I've said like second a couple of times, which I think consistency, we're going to be more consistent than some of the other teams, but Man City are going to win the league again, I think. So second.
What about you, Gary?
I think we'll beat West Ham 3-1. I think we will concede, but I think we'll beat them 3-1, and I think we'll look probably a lot better in that game than what we did today against Nottingham Forest. League-wise, I think we are definitely capable of finishing third. What's that one? Yeah, I think we're definitely capable of finishing third because I don't think Chelsea are having a good season at all. They don't look convincing. I think we look like a better team than Chelsea. So I think it will be City for the league, Liverpool, and then it'll be us in third. And trophy-wise, I think we can 100% win a trophy. The trophy I would like to win, being realistic at where we are at the moment, would be the FA Cup. But I think we're more than likely going to win the Carabao Cup. But I'll take that. So for me, I think we'll beat West Ham 3-1.
What about the Audi Cup? What about the Audi one?
Yeah, listen, the Audi Cup I celebrated just like I would celebrate the Europa Cup. Yeah, we're not in it. But so yeah, I think 3-1. I think we can finish thirds because Chelsea are not at the races at the moment, and I can't see them getting any better. Sterling's always going to miss more chances than he scores because it's Sterling, and I think we can win either the FA Cup or the Carabao. Which one we win, I don't know, but we can definitely win one of those this season. We've got a squad big enough for it and good enough.
Darren is going so the oh. I'm not going to say anything funny. I'm going to agree with Rich and Gary. I think progress. That's a good word to use. I think progress. If we can better ourselves year on year, there's no reason we can't get third behind the other two. There's no reason. And a trophy. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm with Gary. I'd like to win the FA Cup just because what it means and what it means to Tottenham. You know, it's a bigger cup. It's got more prestige, and why not? Why not get our hands on it again? You know, when we were kids and when I was a little boy and we'd won the FA Cup 7 times, and it was the most times a team had won the FA Cup. Do you remember that?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. The last time we won it was against Forest. That's how bizarre it is, you know? Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? When you think about it, how long ago that was. I remember being at that game, and it's just like a lifetime ago. It literally is a lifetime ago. Do you know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
It's crazy. And we missed the penalty that day as well.
Yeah.
So it's mental.
Yeah. So, Darren, what's your prediction you're going for Wednesday?
I'd like to think that we'd keep another clean sheet. I mean, I you know, that would be if we keep a clean sheet and we nick it 1-0 or 2-0, then that'd be great. I just don't want teams to score against us. I think that we look like such a cohesive unit now. And like I said, everyone knows their role. I can't remember the last time I saw a team like this, that everyone knew exactly what to do. And all the wing backs and all the defenders were running back to cover. You know, there are very little gaps in our team. We're leaving very little holes now. And that it bodes so well. It bodes so well if we can get another clean sheet.
I'd love a clean sheet.
Brilliant. And teams should bloody fear us now. Why not? Why not fear Tottenham?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Tottenham on Wednesday against West Ham.
You think they'll score then? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fiery game as it normally is. West Ham.
I only think they will, Darren, because they're at home. So for me, I think they'll get their goal, but I think we will play a lot better and we will beat them. But I'm like you. I want to keep a clean sheet, but I just feel at West Ham's grounds they'll get a goal. I think, but hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I am.
Chris, you'll be going.
Yeah, I'll be going. Yeah.
Could you do us a favour and really start off the chant about Zuma and his cat, because that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Please, I want to hear that. Or I want to hear choruses of "He kicked his cat, he kicked his cat." I want to hear that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of inflatable cats flying about.
There will be.
Yeah. I'll film it just for you.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Richard, Darren,
hang
Gary.
Hang on, Chris. Just quickly, you haven't answered where we're finishing the league or the trophy situation.
I thought I got away with that.
No. You don't get away with nothing with me, mate. Remember that 30-hour drive where we stayed awake? I'm getting you back.
Well, I've got a. Do you know what? The drive up here took me nearly 5 hours. It's meant to be 2.5 hour drive. It took me nearly 5 hours. I was sat stationary for a while because there was a bad accident on the A14. So straight after this, I'll be driving home, and hopefully it will only take me 2.5 hours. But I think that we will finish third in the Premier League. And as I say every year, I'm just hoping and praying that we win a trophy at the end of this season. And as I've said a million times, and all joking aside, Darren, about the conductor and the magician, and I absolutely love Antonio Conte. We've got a world-class manager. I'm just hoping and praying that he can just get us over that line and get a trophy, because 15 years it will be, next year.
Too long.
Far too long. And when you think of all the fantastic players, the fantastic managers that we've had at our club, and us fans deserve it. So hopefully, fingers crossed that we can get over the line and do it. Anyway, Darren, thanks so much for joining us, and tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and feel free to give us an impression, at the end of the show now.
I'm done with impressions. I don't like their. I'm just at Darren Altman on Twitter. It's weird because when I post impressions, my numbers stay up, and when I've got no mojo, it just all my numbers just go down and down and down and down. People are bored; they don't want to hear about Tottenham. So I would just like to say it's been an entertaining and an informative show. Hey, young man, you've got 2 for the price of fucking 1. Look at me. Get out. Fuck off.
Oh dear.
Thank you, Darren. It's been a pleasure talking to you again. And Richard, thanks so much for coming back. And what are you up to at the moment?
I'm training for Great North Run, a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then obviously London Marathon training. How's your training going, Chris? All right.
I should be doing a lot more. I'll be honest, Richard. I should be doing a lot more.
I was thinking of you the other day, actually, and wondering how you're training. It's all very well going here, there, and pissing off to Seoul,
I know.
Running places.
Yeah. People tell me this every time, Darren. They say, "How are you here, there, and everywhere? Eating, doing all this, doing all that." I should be doing more. It's true.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, kind of thinking, sending you positive vibes to train more. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you.
So you need to, mate, because literally I don't want to be like giving you like resuscitation on the running course, mate. 26 miles is a run.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Richard, and Gary. Thanks so much for joining us again.
No, pleasure, Chris. Listen, I haven't been on the show in a while. I mean, you've kept me off this. I don't blame you. But listen, it's always good. It's always good to catch up with you guys on YouTube and chat about. Look, I love talking about Tottenham 24/7. But I'm just thankful the Wi-Fi lasted. It was actually quite all right down here, so I might do the next few in me little holiday home because it was all right. But no, a pleasure as always, Chris. And
liking the sofa.
Cheers. Yeah, it's very retro, this one. But you know what? I always have this conversation about you, Chris. I think everyone always says to me, "How does Chris go to all these games? He's juggling work, his job. He's at this." I said he goes to every single game, home and away, and even games and places you haven't even heard of. He goes to, and I can vouch for that because I've been at some of them. So yeah, but no, always a pleasure, Chris. And I'm glad
they heard you there, Gary.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was. I was on after a win, so it's always nice to come on after a win as well, which is a bonus, isn't it? So yeah, pleasure.
Anyone
Well,
know where we can get our hands on a nude HD adult dating site, by the way? I've always... Oh, there you go. So thank you.
On that note,
that's Chris's other venture. He's copying and pasting links. He's not stupid.
that definitely is not my venture. And do not spread rumors like that, Darren Allman.
Has he left his browser open, Darren? Has he or what?
Well, thanks for watching and thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks to Richard, Darren, and Gary. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And hopefully, Tottenham can continue this winning run and get a win against West Ham on Wednesday and keep climbing up that Premier League table. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're listening to this on an audio platform, do hit that follow button. And I will see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.